Okay, Mayor, we're all set, ready to go.
Okay. Hi, David. Michelle, are you all set?
I am all set, thank you.
Okay, all right. Tuesday, August 11, 2020, this is meeting of, Town Council meeting of the Water Pollution Control Authority and Town Council meeting of North Branford, Connecticut, in the Town Council chambers at 7:10 p.m. I'm going to read this again. Hopefully I'll be able to stop doing this soon. In accordance with Governor Lamont's Executive Order 7B regarding the COVID-19 pandemic, this meeting will be held remotely and with in-person attendance limited to 25 people per state guidelines. All attendees must follow social distancing guidelines and wear masks. Let's start with a salute to the flag. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Michelle, roll call, please.
Mayor Viglione.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Zampiano.
Here.
Counselor Angeloni.
Here.
Counselor Diamond.
Here.
Counselor Duty.
Here.
Counselor Fawnin.
Here.
Counselor Gold.
Here.
Counselor Paternoster.
Here.
And Counselor Policia.
Here. Okay, next we have minutes of a previous meeting, July 21st, 2020, Town Council.
I'll move the July 21st, 2020 Town Council minutes.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Counselor Duty, seconded by Counselor Angeloni. Any discussion? Vote please.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Okay, we'll move into Water Pollution Control Authority agenda, correspondence, citizen statements. First thing on the agenda. Michael, we have nothing?
Nothing.
Okay. Next is unfinished business. Possible change to regulations for layout and assessment of sanitary sewers regarding designated transit recreational vehicle parking spaces, table from July 7th, 2020. Kurt, you have?
Yeah, let me just keep socially distant, take my mask off so you can hear me. This is an item that's been discussed for several months regarding a potential change in the sewer regulations. To propose a regulation change to allow for a definition of designated transient recreational vehicle parking spaces and to set a special connection rate for that type of unit. It comes under a residential unit. What's been proposed is basically charging 1/3 of a unit for every designated transient recreational vehicle parking space. But the net result would be, again, it's a trailer or a campground trailer that's seasonal, that comes and goes. They'd have to pay, instead of paying a $12,300 special connection fee under the current regulations, it would be $4,100 per connection. We've discussed it quite a bit over the past several months, and at the last meeting, public hearing was held on July 7th. And basically I think there was two main questions that came up that I was asked to look into and discuss with the town attorney and then come back and propose something. The two basic questions were how the sewer connections would be controlled and monitored, and on another item, how the age-restricted component of the mobile home units in the park would be monitored and enforced. That's not what the regulation really addresses, but it's a fact of reality that the only property in town that this really would apply to is Tutucket Valley Park, where they have transient trailers and they have mobile home units. So we're trying to address it. The question came up, and trying to make sure we're looking ahead to what could be coming down the pike. Regarding the first item, if they want to hook up, they would have to come in with engineer plans showing the actual connections. They would have to enter into an agreement with the Water Pollution Control Authority spelling out any special conditions or concerns that would be addressed in the agreement. It could include penalties if they violate any provision of the agreement or and the like. We could put in something like as verification that no unpermitted units are being connected, get a notarized statement from the property owner. There's various items that we could put in any type of agreement. Again, and the other thing too is to emphasize we would want engineer plans, as-built drawings showing what is approved and what's constructed if something were to go forward. Regarding the age-restricted component of the mobile home units, I asked the town attorney if something, a restrictive covenant could be prepared in some type of agreement. What you have in your packet is a draft. He sort of took it to the next level. When I was looking for more of a yes or no type of answer, he wrote one out. He gave a first shot of putting in there the restrictive covenants in a draft agreement to demonstrate that something that he felt would work. That would come into play if and when the owner of the park ever came forward looking to connect the mobile home units that are age restricted. Town attorney's not here, but again, he did look at the memo and he was okay with it. Whether you want to take action now or discuss it when he gets back, I'm fine with either way. But what I did prepare is a suggested motion, and it's basically to amend the sewer assessment regulations, and it's pretty simple. It's basically adding a provision that, and I'll just read it, notwithstanding 1A above, which refers to residential units, designated transient recreational vehicle parking spaces with connections for sanitary sewer hookups shall be recovered at the rate of 1/3 unit per authorized connection. And then we're renumbering items 1B to D or renumbering to 1C to E. And this is all on page 9 of the regulations. So if there's any questions,
So if we move this, that'll be enough to work with?
yeah, well, if you move this to change the regulations, and then I'm anticipating the applicant for the Tug Valley Park, first thing he's told me he'd like to connect some of the transient recreational units, probably 3 to begin with. And that will come before this board, and you can take action to allow them to hook up. I think overall for that property, it's going to be a development over time. It's a monetary thing, most likely, but it will allow for it and spells out what rates they would be paying.
All right. I'll move to approve the addition of the following item B in the regulations for layout and assessment of sanitary sewers to be located under determination of sewer assessment rates. Under units to be charged immediately following 1 residential zones, item A on part 8 on page 8 of the regulations. Notwithstanding 1A above designated transient recreation vehicle parking spots with connections to sanitary sewer hookup shall be recovered at the rate of 1/3 unit per authorized connection, and renumber paragraphs 1B through D to paragraphs 1C through E on page 9 of the regulations.
Second.
Okay. Motion was made by Counselor Duty, seconded by Counselor Angeloni. Any further discussion? Can I have a vote, Michelle?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain.
Thank you, Kurt. Next, we're going to new business. still under Water Pollution Control Authority. Scheduling of Special Water Pollution Control Authority meeting and a public hearing for sewer works, operating budget, and proposed user fee for year 2020, 2021.
If I can just add regarding that, the reason for this is trying to get the budget so it can be in effect October 1st. We're always scrambling to get the budget information together from the other municipalities. We've been doing this for many years now, having it, the public hearing, the second meeting in September. Again, hoping that we have all the final numbers from the other municipalities that we discharge to. Worst comes to worst, we have the public hearing September 15th and we carry it over if we're missing something. But that's the schedule that pretty much works for everybody.
I'd like to make a motion that the North Branford WPCA schedules a special water pollution control authority meeting on Tuesday, September 15th, 2020, and further that the North Branford WPCA, acting as the sewer authority for the town pursuant to Connecticut General Statute 7-255, will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, September 15th, 2020 at 7:30 p.m. at the North Branford Town Hall, 909 Foxen Road, for the purpose of receiving public input on the sewer works operating budget and the proposed sewer use fees for the 2020-21 fiscal year.
Second.
Okay, motion was made by Councilor Angeloni, seconded by Councilor Diamond. Any further discussion? Can I have a vote, Michelle?
All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain? Oppose?
Okay. Next is Water Pollution Control Authority application to connect property known as 1167 Foxen Road, map 18, lot 9, to sanitary sewers.
Good evening again. This property is 1167 Foxen Road. It's where the Waves gas station is currently. Basically, what they're proposing is take that facility down, construct a new facility with gas pumps and a convenience store. It's proposed to be 2,400 square feet, and they're proposing to connect it into the sanitary sewers in Route 80. Those sanitary sewers were put in about 15 years under a steep grant when they redid Route 80. We were able to get them in there. It's a good opportunity to improve the development along Route 80. The biggest issue there is they're required to pay a special connection fee based upon the number of units, tying into based upon the square footage of the proposed facility. They basically have 2,400 square feet, and it's 1 unit per every 1,000 square feet or a portion thereof. So they have 3 units, and the underlying rate is $4,000 per unit for the first 5 units. So the net result is they have to pay a special connection fee of $12,000 to tie into the sanitary sewer. They're in the process of going before planning and zoning currently as well, but WPCA approval is required before planning and zoning can act. It's a pretty straightforward motion in front of you. And again, the big condition is they're required to pay that special connection fee prior to connecting into the sanitary sewers. So on page 2, there is a suggested motion.
Okay, I want to say, just next to where I work, and they've been on septic all this time.
All along, yep.
Yeah, a lot of the buildings there are the same way. They put a, Pit Stop put up a building in Wallingford, and I'm by there quite a bit. And they did a great job. They knocked down the old place just like they want to do here. They put up a nice new building, and it's really an asset to the town of Wallingford, and I think will be here too. So I just wanted to let you know that. I don't know if anybody else has seen it, but they did a nice job on it. And they're really concerned. They want to keep the The residents happy that live behind them. They're worried about that stuff, and they're just looking into everything and trying to do it the right way. That's it. That's all.
So I'd like to make a motion to move the motion as suggested in our packet, which is on page 38 of our information. Michelle, do you have
I do.
the whole motion? Okay.
Thank you.
It's lengthy, so if you want it read, I can read it, but
That's
Kurt
fine.
basically summarized it all for us already here.
I'll second.
Okay, motion was made by Counselor Angeloni, seconded by Counselor Diamond. Any further discussion? Vote please, Michelle.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain?
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Kurt. Next, we have citizen statements and petitions. Michael, you have anything?
Just stand by. No comments.
Nothing? All right. Okay, we'll move into the regular town council meeting. Reports of committees, boards, and commissions. We have Economic Development Commission, Roger Soloway's monthly report.
Okay, so the EDC met last Monday. Roger's report is in here. So the biggest thing is, one is we are in the process of setting up negotiations with Citrine Power in regards to the solar farm at 127 Forest Road. And then the other thing is that Belafonte Companies is looking, and they're going to go before P&Z in September to build a multi-unit luxury apartment complex next to Firelight on the property in front of the ice rink there, that area there. Honeywell is definitely in favor of this. They have doubled their employees because they have closed some other locations, and Northford has actually become one of their top spots, and so they now have approximately 900 employees there, and they are in need of housing for some of their executives and high-level employees that come in, and so they definitely are in favor of this. So that is something that will be coming forward to the various boards and commissions at this time.
Let's see how many units?
I forgot, I saw the drawings that they had sent. There's, I think, five or six.
It's a high density, five buildings. I don't know if Kurt remember. I forget the number, but it's significant number of units. It's going to be a high density, and it's going to be for P&Z. It's going to be an issue, I think. It's a great. I think Rose had already commented, but I agree. I think it's a great project on the face of it, and we just have to let it go through its process with P&Z. But it not that they're done all over the state, all over the country, and I think it can be done here. It just may be the first one that we do, and so it'll take some education as to how that can be done, appropriately.
The next quarterly advanced manufacturing meeting is going to be held next Tuesday, August 18th. It's a virtual meeting at 8:30 in the morning, and the guest speakers are Senator Norm Needleman, who is the chair of Connecticut Energy and Technology Committee, and Marcia LaFima, president of Penn Globe. And they are also the Sustainable Connecticut Committee is looking to submit their certification for North Brantford this month at the bronze level. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Rose. Next, we have Parks and Rec.
Park and Recreation meeting is like in 2 weeks. I was unable to attend the last one.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have Police Commission.
The Police Commission met yesterday, August 10th. Walter and I were able to attend. We received a very comprehensive overview of the new Connecticut Police Accountability Act. It's Public Act 6004. I have to thank the chief for providing that overview, and I would recommend that at some point that he give an overview to the town council. I think it's important. There's lots of impact, not only on individual policemen, but also on communities. Municipalities are going to have to probably up their insurance, so I think that at some point it'll be interesting, I think, for the entire town council to hear that report. He also then talked about unspent funds, what he would like to spend from the 2019-2020 budget. You see that, you have that in your packet, and it's something for a discussion later on. The police chief also talked about the new police facility is moving along. He talked about the radio system. The consultant has identified some areas of weak spots throughout the town and continues to work on that process. Overall, we received a lot of input and updates on things that are happening in town, and I think we have to give a lot of credit to the police department for keeping us intact and moving along throughout this COVID. Thank you.
Thanks, Marie. Next, we have the Fire Commission.
Nothing remarkable at this time. There's a lot going on with the Fire Commission as far as Company 2, which we'll discuss later on tonight in executive session. I did have a conversation with the chief recently, and he said for the first time in a long time he feels that the department's in a good place as far as keeping up with all the standards, and as far as like tires on engines and safety equipment and stuff like that. He feels like he's in a good place, so things look to be going pretty good with the fire department.
Well, that's good to hear. Okay. Thanks, Ron. Next, we have Board of Education and Town Council Communications Subcommittee.
There's no meeting.
Okay. Next is Town Planning Goals Subcommittee.
No meeting.
Next, we have Planning and Zoning Commission.
Planning and Zoning, I believe, had a meeting Thursday. I wasn't able to attend. So the next meeting I believe listed is 8/20, August 20th.
Okay, thanks, Tom. Next, we have North Branford Police Department Facility and Town Center Advisory Committee.
That committee met on August 7th. The committee continues to review the plans for the design with the architect. There's going to be, I think it's moving along very nicely, doing very well, and the next meeting is on August 19th.
Thank you, Marie. All right, next we have Finance Subcommittee.
There was no meeting.
And next is Ad Hoc Design Review Committee.
The Ad Hoc Design Committee met on July 28th. One of the things we were doing was looking at some alternate sites if we do have a new building for the high school. We then spent a lot of time reviewing some of the documentation from the architect. We are meeting this Thursday to take a tour of the high school and to look at what the architect has presented to us in terms of what would have to be done to renovate his new. Walter, you might want to add to that.
We appointed Al Rose as our chairperson, too, for the ad hoc committee.
So on the application, I know that it was submitted without all of the information needed for the renovate as new for June 30th. Do you know if all the additional, if all of that information has been submitted to the state?
My understanding is yes.
Okay.
But we have also asked the superintendent not to bring the state down yet, because we feel there are some things that we need to look at and consider before, and Al was very concerned about that. So we asked for a postponement that they not bring the state down soon, and if they do, that our committee knows that and is able to attend.
Yeah, because my understanding when I spoke with the state and spoke with the director of the department that overviews all of this is that it's very much to be a collaboration between the council, the Board of Education, you know, like all parties together, so it should not be just one-sided.
Correct, I think our committee's made that pretty clear.
Definitely.
Okay, well, that's good to
Would you
hear.
agree, Walter?
Yes. The state comes down, we pretty much want everybody to be there.
So Thursday night, we're going to take a very thorough tour of the high school, and we have information now that we requested, how the architect arrived at the costs, and it's been broken down, and Al and Walter are very helpful in terms of understanding all of the detail, and so that we can check it out carefully. So I think we're gonna be asking a lot of questions.
And part of this whole process that's going on is, we need to have a decision made as to which way we're going, like by November, because we have to, the priority list goes to the governor in December, so we would have to have a decision made by that time, so we still have some time.
That's why
Yeah.
we're meeting.
I know, you have a very,
We're meeting almost every week.
Yeah.
We're meeting every week now instead of
We would have
every
met
2
last
weeks.
week if it hadn't been for the storm.
right. Yes, you have a very aggressive schedule, so I can see that that you're putting a lot of time and effort into it, so that's great.
Yeah, you guys are doing a nice job from what I've seen and heard. Okay. We'll move into the town manager's report, COVID-19 update.
Yes, I put in front of you the one-pager update from the statistics from the health department. Not much change, again, holding steady. The current total for the town is 92 cases since the pandemic began. I think I reported 88 last time, so it's popped up a bit, but you know, health department continues to monitor and guide us, and there are weekly meetings and briefings. Most recently, a lot of discussion around sports and teams and field use. So there's another scheduled meeting, probably for Thursday, again, looking at the impact of sports teams and what they can do on the field. A lot of it right now are centered around differentiating between the contact sport and scrimmages and games versus actually allowing them to condition and using appropriate distancing and guidelines. So that'll be the focus of Thursday's discussion, and we'll continue to communicate with those teams and through the rec department. Obviously, new director is involved intimately and guiding that process. So the health department's been on top of this and coordinating. So we'll continue to update you as it becomes available.
Mike, as of what date have we had no new cases? Because all these towns have zero, so like, what date did that all start with? None.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's not again, last week we were at, so somewhere between last week and today's numbers, I got them just recently, so I'd have to dive in to see if Mike can give me some breakdown of that, but.
So it's been a week or two?
Yeah, it's
or-
been a week, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah,
Good stuff.
it really, and for North Brantford, the numbers are really kind of flat, you know, and again, we have 1 or 2 cases every week or every other week, something like that. I think that's been the trend, but I can have maybe, we can kind of plot it out and show you that, but it's been pretty steady.
Basically zeros right now, though. We're all zeros.
We'll see, yeah, I'll get you more.
Total new cases, zeros.
Yeah, I'll get you more data in terms of the timing and the gap and how long we've gone.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks, Mike.
Sure.
Next, we have an update on the storm we had Tuesday, and I'm not even gonna try to say the name.
Me neither. Tropical storm, I just thought it'd be appropriate to give you an update in terms of how we got through it. And first and foremost, I want to say that there was an excellent coordination among the emergency management director, public works, fire, police, health department, and you know, again, they know the drill, so they're ready and they're out there and they're doing their thing. So the coordination, communication with our utilities, obviously is something that needs to improve. We had some glitches, and I won't go through all of the details, but just to say that we will have a review of that process. So the emergency management director has got a bunch of notes to go through, and we'll hammer those things out. It's just a little frustrating because things can go so much smoother when there's coordinated communication and coordinated effort, and we'll work on that and begin to highlight our issues with them. But as far as I know, the latest information I had was that Wallingford Electric customers 100% restoration there. I'm not aware of any. UI, approximately as of yesterday, 31 accounts they were still working on. And we have very few, just a handful of Eversource customers, and those, I'm told, 100% restoration with them as well. So it's really focused on UI, and I don't know what that number as of yet from yesterday to today, how much progress that they made. I don't have that update, but say that they're working on it. Obviously, the storm created a lot of debris, so we're not at a position to be able to get out there and collect it, but we set up a drop-off site at Public Works. Originally was set to run through to the 15th, but with a lot of calls and obviously consultation with Fran, we're going to continue to have that open as a drop-off site Monday through Friday, well, every day, but Sunday, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m., and we'll run it through to the end of the month on the 29th. And I think that'll help a lot of folks get that brush and debris out of there. During that process, we had charging stations open at the library for folks that didn't have power, and we did in those places. We actually set up for the first time, I believe, watering stations we had here at Town Hall. So we had a couple of calls for people that needed, who were on septic, needed water, so we were able to do that as well. I think we're pretty much heading through the cleanup phase, and again, we'll recap in terms of the emergency management crew to kind of critique and digest what happened, and then also putting forth the financial tracking of expenses for potential reimbursement for the storm damage. So just like any other winter or summer event, hurricane, tornado type thing, all of those processes we're familiar with, and we'll continue to do what we do in terms of wrap up.
Okay.
So.
Hey, Mike, I just want to add just a thank you to Franny and his guys. They did a fantastic job. I know some coordination with some of the utilities was difficult. I know there's been some changes at the different utilities as far as personnel. But just for any citizens that are watching this, just so that they understand this, and I thought I was impressed by this, that's why I'm mentioning it, is that we do something that a lot of other towns don't do. Is a lot of times, as long as we can coordinate with the electric companies, Franny's crews will follow their crews around and clean up after they've cleared a line, where if they stayed on that one spot to continue clearing up that one area, it would prevent them from moving on down the line and fixing things quicker. So I think our town does a fantastic job at trying to move things along and helping people get their power back on quicker. And I've told Franny this several times, but I just think he does a great job, and his crews, once again, I think did a great job. So just want to say thank you.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, and safety. Safety is paramount, in terms of getting out there and responding. And again, police, fire, EMS, all out there doing their thing. And as professionals, we know that. But to see them in action, and to have people call and say, hey, thank you. That was great. That's and I'm sure maybe Fran wants to say something, or not. But yeah, it takes a coordinated effort, and the more again for us to work on the UI coordinating and Wallingford Electric, it could go a lot smoother, and we could get more efficient at what we do. So.
Fran, how are you doing? You have a lot more I'm
want more
sure-
to do?
Yeah, I'm sure it was a
Oh,
mess
yeah,
out there.
We do, I mean, I will reach out to my guys, I gotta tell you, they really stepped up to the plate.
Yeah.
I mean, it was not easy out there. The heat was a problem. You know, chasing around UI and Wallingford and Eversource was, was challenging, but, we got through it. There's some debris left, the power company started doing some stuff, and now we're dropping stuff back on the sides of the road, which is, we still can't figure out why they're doing that without telling us, but, so we have a lot of cleanup left to do. We have a couple buildings down south, the old senior center, the TV station's got 2 huge trees that came down that's gonna take us a while. Debris is piling up. We're shipping all of our stuff, but what the public is bringing, I'm actually pretty shocked how big the pile is for the amount, the length of the storm. And it's not everywhere in town. There's some areas you wonder what, like nothing really, I shouldn't say nothing happened, but the damage is nowhere's near as some other areas. So we'll get it. We're gonna plug away this week, and then we have other things to do too. So we're gonna start breaking it apart. And, we got some field work to do, and we don't know what's going on at school yet. So.
Right. Well, like Ron said, you guys did a great job. Police and fire also. I know they were busy when things like this happen. I know it gets real crazy a lot of times, and you guys did a great job.
Yeah, Mayor, I'd be remiss if I didn't say also to recognize Kurt Weiss and monitoring the sewer side of it. And, there was an issue there that he alerted me to, and that was a pump station up on Mansfield Drive, and Wallingford Electric was right on it. So, ask Kurt, that could have been a major problem, with something like that going down for any length of period. And the issue there was just I'm not sure what the specific issues, other than the generator was not able to handle or perform to the level of keeping the pump on in a steady manner. So it got a priority, and Wallingford Electric got out there and serviced us. So we avoided what could have been a real big problem. So I want to
Good to hear.
acknowledge,
Thank you, Kurt. Good to hear. Okay. Next, we have fire/EMS training. I got my wrong glasses. I took the wrong glasses. Fire and EMS training and budget process is next.
Yep, so I think that this was from Deputy Mayor Zampano, and asked about the process, and I have a memo in response to that outlining from Chief Seward in terms of the process, and then a list of the instructors that are part of that program. I don't know if there are any additional questions.
Are all those requisitions that are submitted for payment signed by the fire chief?
As far, yes, yeah.
You're sure they're all signed by the fire chief?
I can't be sure that he's signed all of them, but that should be the process, that he should be signing off on all of them. I did ask him, and when I sat down with him.
The fire chief's signatures on everything?
Should be, yeah. I haven't had a chance to go through each and every one of them, but I had.
Should be a memo going out that the fire chief's signature has to be on every one of them.
Well, I had the conversation with him. He indicated that he does sign off on them.
So I just have a question in regards to, because Anthony Esposito is listed as one of the instructors for the EMS training, when he's paid, is he paid as an employee, or is he paid as a 1099?
He's
Does
paid
he
as
have a separate business?
Yeah, separate business and a vendor, and I think he has the insurance as well that was required for that. I think some time ago, maybe even before I got here, that purchasing Michelle had required that they have insurance to be instructors, and naming us as additionally insured. So he's covered through a vendor process.
To your knowledge, Mike, is he doing trainings mainly for our firefighters and EMTs, or is he using our facilities to make money with his business on the outside as well?
My understanding is the former, that it's just the employees in terms of our firefighting personnel. I'm informed by way of the chief that the other individual, there may be a situation where he is using the facility to teach other classes, but not Anthony from my interviews.
What's your stance on them using it for other purposes?
Yeah, as I explained to the chief, I think that's something that I've already, begun to talk to him about. That I don't think it's a benefit that they should have. If you're gonna perform and use a facility, it's for the benefit of the community via the personnel, not to be, in my mind, conducting other classes for private entities and making money by using our facility.
Would you or the chief be open to charging a rental fee for the facilities?
Well, yeah, that's in consultation in terms of developing a policy on that to defer to him and have that conversation with him with respect to whether or not he wants outside agencies or groups in there or not. But I don't think it's unreasonable to think that you could have a fee for that service, or fee for use, I should say.
So as far as the whole process, Mike, from start to finish, from budget to payment. So the fire chief builds his budget and says, I'm going to spend this much in training. And then who selects the training for the year? Is there a group, the fire chief maybe, and whoever the training officers are?
Right.
Do they have an agreement on what training is going to happen for the year at any given point?
Yeah, I think that's how it works. I really don't have the intimate details of how their internal process works, but the understanding I have is that, just as you laid out, that the chief will either delegate to the training officers and review, or maybe it's requested and given back to the chief in terms of review based on, or the chief is saying, we've got to meet these regulations and here's the training, then schedule and make sure that we have a training schedule and that everybody's meeting the requirements.
Okay, so then we're gonna train on XYZ. The fire chief approves to train on XYZ and selects a certain person or certain group or certain company to conduct that training. Is there a requisition done to create a PO or to create a work order or to create some document to give to whoever's doing the training that we have the approval to do the training?
Yeah, I mean, there's a process in there that I'm not sure how, again, I don't know the ins and outs of the department for the chief and how he's running the department. But my guess is that he is communicating with them and that he's following the procedures and steps necessary to get that training done and making the requisitions and taking care of that. And I think from what I understand in talking with them, that they have a specialty in terms of emergency medical responders. It's sort of the EMR side of it that I think Anthony does. And then David and Laura Birch do the EMT, which is the emergency medical technicians side training of it.
The reason why I'm asking too, though, is because when I asked for this laid out, when you referenced requisitions, and I think I put who creates in parentheses, and in here you responded that requisitions particular to purchasing equipment and services are established by the Finance and Purchasing Committee. But how do they know to create that requisition? Someone has to give them, who's giving them the information is what I was getting at. So to me, the requisition is, coming from whoever needs to provide the training to the purchasing department.
Yeah, I will double check that, but I believe that's the chief's. In the
And
chief's
then
round.
so to continue that, so now the training is complete, and an invoice comes through, so someone has to, approve the invoice to make sure what's listed on that invoice, is what was done, and it was all completed. Whatever is on the invoice has been completed, and they sign off and say, pay the bill.
Mhm.
Who does that?
Chief, so,
The chief does that for all the training?
to my knowledge, yeah, that's my
Okay.
understanding, yeah.
But I'm confused because there's a new position called the Deputy Chief of Support Services. What role does that person have? I see there's a reorganization. They changed from a Deputy Chief of Training to a Deputy Chief of Support Services. I wonder if that person is having any say in that. That's what confused me.
Well, I mean, I don't know, he may delegate, I don't know, and that was part of, I was trying to find the whole process from start to finish, how it's worked to make sure that, it's being done according to plan, and we have a process, and we follow the process each and every time, no matter who's doing the training, what company, or what individual, whatever, so.
But I guess the other question I have in regards to that is that if finance department is involved in this in any way, and Anthony is the finance department and he's teaching the classes, I see that as a real conflict of issuing a purchase order for something he's going to do, and then, issuing the check for it to himself or his company or whatever it is. I see that as a huge conflict if that's exactly what's happening, and based on what I'm reading here, it sounds like that could be happening.
The check that Anthony's paid with, does it have his signature on it?
He wouldn't be signing off on any check that he's, that is mine. There's typically 2 signatures on the check, and he couldn't sign off on that. I think that's our policy protocol from financial best practices, that we're not doing that. He's not, I'm signing off on that. Ultimately, after on the actual check run that's doing.
So it's not yours and his?
Good question. It shouldn't be. It should, but if I think his signature is, it's a computer generated signature, so it may be going out with his signature, but he's not signing off. It's my review in terms of he and I review each and every one of those check runs.
I'm just very leery of, that.
Yeah, no, I
there's
think it's
that issue, and then it's
Point
the
well
whole
taken.
ethics. And I believe there was a ruling by Attorney Gismondi, I don't know, maybe 8-9 years ago, in regards to town employees. If you worked for the town and then doing something on the side, based on your position, making money off of it. And I think there was some ruling on that.
It'd be very easy. We have the town attorney here tonight. Have him look into it, see if it's legal, what's going on, and see if there is a conflict of interest, and what action we should take. It's cut and dry. Can somebody serve in 2 capacities, both getting paid? Should be able to have that answered by our next council meeting.
I'm not even sure it's a legal issue. If we've got a person providing service and then approving payment for those services and issuing the check for those services, it's just plain wrong. So legal or not, it shouldn't be happening. There's got to be independent review and decision-making. And frankly, I don't care what John Gismondi told us or Vin Marino tells us. It just shouldn't happen that way.
If in fact it's from what I read.
If that's happening,
Right.
You're right.
From what I read, that could be a possibility from the answers, the responses here. So that's, you know, what prompted me to ask the question, if that's.
So let's get the facts, and if that's what's going on, let's change it.
Right.
Without
The overall
accusing
question,
anybody of anything, let's just change it.
the overall question is can the treasurer finance director serve as the deputy chief of the fire department? You know, with these authorities.
Yeah, I think there's been Jesmond did a ruling on that as well, that,
That's a long time ago. I mean, we got a new town attorney, and I'm requesting that he come up with a decision.
Vin, did you get that whole thing?
I believe I understand the issue.
I'm sorry.
I believe I understand the issue.
Okay. I know you just came in.
Well, we actually have, there's 3 pieces to it, right?
yeah.
There's
a,
finance director, there's
Ethics.
deputy fire chief, and then there's a
Instructor.
training company. A separate training company, right?
right.
So, we just need an answer, you know, what's ethical, what's not. What's right, what's wrong.
Okay, I will, work with the town attorney on that and bring it back for the next meeting.
Okay. All right, anything else? All right, let's go into community events and presentations. Nothing?
Nothing.
Okay, so, next is citizens' statements and petitions and correspondence.
Just give me a minute.
Okay.
Yes, I have one, from Allison Camarco, Camarco, 30 Clear Lake Road. Will the public be allowed to attend the tour of the high school on Thursday, 8/13, with the Ad hoc Design Review Committee, and what time is that tour taking place? So, I can respond, that's yes, and 6:30?
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock. Other than that, that's.
You got COVID-19 restrictions too, so.
Right.
Yes. That is the only communication I have in the box.
That was
Okay.
Jessica?
Allison
Allison,
Camarco.
thank you.
Okay.
Can I make a comment?
Yeah, sure.
So, with the ad hoc committee, how exactly do they accomplish the tasks they have at hand? With, it just sounds like they're, yeah, and I know that everything needs to be public, but I'm asking, you know, is there any thought of, you know, how can they dig into it, to the task to make sure that they're not, interrupted, or I don't even know what I'm trying to say.
That will be difficult. If we're trying to do a look on every nook and cranny, we have a lot of people following us around that. You're right, that will be difficult.
Well, I think, if I may, yeah, I understand your point, Tom. So I think it's, in the beginning of the meeting, it's structured that it's a listen-only kind of tour, you know, monitoring, you know, and let the committee really have the floor, so to speak, to get the questions and have the communication that they need to have to get the information they need to move forward.
When the last ad hoc committee meeting ended, if you don't remember, Mike, first thing I asked was, should the public be allowed to come to this meeting? Because I kind of was thinking the same way I think Tom is, because this meeting that we're having, we'll call it, we're going to the school almost like doing like a house inspection, where we as a committee need to get in and look at all the nooks and crannies and kind of go over the school. I mean, I kind of see where there's that's why I asked, because what if 50 people come? And there's 50 people following us through the school?
We can't because you're restricted to 25.
Well, 25 people come, and now we're just there to look at the bones of the building, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? As the
Okay.
committee that's there to look at this, and now there could be 25 people that are following us through the halls, and we go down into the basement, whatever, and it's like, you know, what are you looking at? It's like, we're trying to do our job. It'd almost be like if you had 25 people following a house inspector around. And every time he went into a room, what are you looking at? What's going on? And everybody wants, you know,
Unless you make it a private tour, you know?
it's, might be kind of late now, but that's why I asked that question. That was the last thing I asked at the meeting was,
Yeah.
should this meeting, the one that we're doing going to the school, actually be a public meeting? Not saying the public shouldn't be involved in our meetings, but it's kind of
Yeah, well,
different. It's just like an inspection, we'll say,
Yeah,
kind
it-
of.
So I said it's.
Like, we're not just doing a tour of the school. It isn't like an open house where we're doing a tour of the school.
Right, and I think it's very, very good point, and I'd maybe ask, the town attorney, but I think, obviously in terms of being transparent and not wanting the commission or the members to run afoul of the, public meeting laws, right? So, there may be a distinction between, you doing your work in public but safeguarding the public safety and doing, or, maybe there's security issues as well, I don't know. And I know security issues is one of those issues that's exempt, for the purposes of FOI. In maybe a tour in a school, I don't know, but I can certainly talk with Vin, and maybe there's a way to separate the tour from the conversation and actions that you're taking in terms of committee business.
Because this is like an extra meeting, because we usually have our meetings
Yeah, right.
every 2 weeks, and we're having this get-together, because there's time restriction, we have to get things done. So we just wanted to get in the school as the committee, go through
Yeah.
this thing, spend a lot of time and go through everything, so we could talk
And-
as the committee.
Right, and it
And
just.
I could just imagine if you have 25 people there, and you're trying to have your conversation, and then it isn't like that the citizens are gonna be involved in it, but then again, when somebody has a question, how do we sit there and say, well, sorry, you're not involved, just, you can just watch us,
I
but
think
you
an
can.
important point is what you said before, is security. It's a
Yeah, well,
security issue.
I think it's safety too. I mean, and also in this COVID world we're living in right now, I mean, it's going to be tough enough to get the committee members and through, to see different items and different, things that you need to see into a little closet or into a little, the basement or locker room or whatever you're gonna look at, but tight spaces, so.
What do you think, Vin?
What is the purpose of the meeting is for what specifically?
For the ad hoc committee to go through the school and do like, we'll say, almost like an inspection. We want to go together as a group, look at every aspect of the school
And we
that's
have a list of
existing.
things from the architect that we want to be able to review. We have his.
So, all right, so, under the executive order, you would theoretically be allowed to just broadcast what you're doing without having the public, first of all, it's a meeting, so the public doesn't get to participate and ask questions, right? Because they don't have the right of question at a meeting, only at public hearings. So you don't have to worry about the interface, even if the public were there. But under the circumstances, since you're going to be in a school, walking throughout the building, broadcasting the layout of a school building on the open air risks the security of the building. So I would set it for an executive session, set it for your meeting, and then a walkthrough, an examination of the facility. And I think that under the circumstances, that broadcasting that walk would jeopardize the security of that building would be justified to do it as an executive session.
So just us then, not the public.
Right.
Correct.
Yes, because you have to list it as an executive session.
You list it as an
And then you
executive
include
session.
who's in that
Yeah.
executive session only.
Right, because theoretically, someone could take your video and now have a complete layout of the building,
Right.
right? Which then would jeopardize the security of that building.
So we could call for executive session. at the beginning
Executive
of the,
session.
Meeting.
Well, you just you post it that
Yeah,
way.
post it.
You have to post it
Yeah,
as an executive session.
Post it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
I
of
don't
course,
think it's
yeah,
that way now.
we have
Yeah,
time
you can
tomorrow.
you have enough time to
You have enough
repost.
time tomorrow to redo that and revise and repost, as a,
That'd be
for
good.
that tour under executive, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mike. Thanks, Finn.
So is there a part of, are you just doing the walkthrough on Thursday and then at your next meeting, you're discussing things?
I think we were gonna have it.
Kind of do it at the same time,
But
too,
we may
and
not have
then,
time, we may spend so much time on the tour that we don't have time for
yeah.
discussion.
I mean, it's gonna be time consuming. You know, it's not gonna be
Yeah,
a
no,
15-minute thing. It's gonna be very time consuming.
Right.
Who's taking you through? Someone from the Board of
We're doing
Ed?
it ourselves,
Is it
along with.
the superintendent?
No.
Bill Chody's on the committee.
Bill Chody's on the committee.
Okay,
Be Bill Chody, Franny.
okay,
will be
so
there.
so
Bill
that'll be
Chody's
it
the
then.
director.
Yeah.
Just the
So
committee.
since it's an additional meeting, it could be the whole meeting's the executive session. You gather your data, your information, and then at your next public meeting, you have your
Present it.
discussions, yeah.
Which would be next week anyways.
Right.
Right, which it would follow the same thing. You can have your discussion and people could be there, but you don't have to take any questions from them or anything,
Right.
so.
Right, and just follow the protocol. Open up the meeting, go into executive session, come out of executive session and adjourn the meeting. So the minutes should simply be opening, the time you go into executive session, the time you come out of executive session, and the time you adjourn.
Well, I have a question, can the secretary come along with issues, or you don't have the secretary in executive session because you need someone to take notes?
Well, you wouldn't be taking notes of what you do in executive session, right?
It's a little different though, because,
I know with IWWA, when we do site meetings, but that's a meeting, it is described as, if there are public members there, they are not to ask any questions and there is no discussion. I do trail and, take any comments, but if it's held in executive session, I would not participate either.
Okay.
In which case, Town Planner Duquesne takes the minutes.
Okay, so then we
That's
would,
just
we would
that
have to take our own
process.
notes.
Right.
Yeah, and dispense with all of the other, approval of the minutes or any other discussion or action. It's just one item restricted to going into executive session and that.
I mean, theoretically, you could open up the meeting, you could approve the minutes, you could do that housekeeping stuff if you want.
Okay.
Or it could just be a meeting for that purpose.
I mean, that pretty much just has the purpose of going in, that's all
Because
we're
it
there
is
for.
gonna be time consuming.
Yeah.
If it's a special meeting, you could have a special agenda
Yeah.
with those just delineated.
Okay, anything else?
So I guess to answer the citizens' question,
Yeah,
it wouldn't be open to the public. Right?
Right, if you're gonna go the route.
That one
Route of.
The
it's
tour
just
is
the
not
tour.
open.
It's just the.
Tour is not
it's-
open.
Yeah, if you're gonna.
it's not a tour of the school.
Yeah, if it's just gonna be the tour, it's just executive session,
Yeah.
then there really isn't any purpose for the public coming out, and that person
Right.
can be notified that it's going to be basically a non-meeting.
Right.
Right, I mean,
Right.
because the public won't be allowed into executive
Right.
session, so that, and if you dispense with all of the other housekeeping issues,
Yeah.
you really have nothing other than open, go into executive session, do your tour, hour and a half, 2 hours
Yeah.
later, you come out and you adjourn the meeting.
Yep.
And so there really isn't anything for the public they can see you coming into the building, coming out of the building, that's about it.
It's perfect.
okay. Next, we have resignations and appointments. We have the resignation of Mary Bigelow from the Cable Advisory Council of South Central Connecticut. I don't think we need to take any action on that.
No.
That's nothing we can do.
I would just like to thank Mary she's been on this committee for
Yeah.
the past 10+ years. So it says she could no longer serve. Is it a personal thing, or is it something from the committee that she served so many years and she can no longer serve? I'm not-
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
The letter.
Haven't talked.
Well, the letter just says I could no longer serve as your representative, starting July 1st. So I didn't know if there was some bylaws of the cable advisory that you can only serve so many years. She's done a great job and has served over 10. So, we just need to think about appointing someone for this, to be on this council. But thank you, Mary, for all of your time and effort in this position.
Okay. Next, we'll move into unfinished business, discussion and action. We have contingency transfers for year 2020, 2021, which I believe were tabled.
I gotta table it again because I need some more information if I don't.
I have information on the, in front of you, revised appropriation number and the information background on the salaries for department heads. So there's two printed offs.
Yeah, I have no names, I have no nothing, I need more information where I can make a decision. So I moved the table it.
I'll second that.
Who's that, Walt?
Yeah.
Okay, motion was made by Councilor Duty, seconded by Councilor Gould.
Could
Any?
you repeat the motion?
It was just a table.
Oh, just a table, I'm sorry, I couldn't do that.
Mike,
I want some more.
this page you're saying goes with it?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, essentially, it's just a explanation in terms of breakdown of the numbers to correspond with the, my process of merit pay for the salaries for the department head group of 18, and broken down.
I need another column over here, the department identified, or somebody identified.
Okay. Michelle, did you get that?
I'm just not clear on what information is being requested.
See this column right here? I need a department or a name.
Department/name, okay, thank you.
It's in our budget, so I mean, it's in our budget book, so it can't be too hard to get it.
Yeah, I can get you that. I had preferred not to.
I just don't wanna go through my budget book and match up salaries to positions or names. I don't think I have to do that.
Yeah, I was just trying to get away from the individuals and look at it as groups, and show that the, you know, where the breakdown is with respect to those different tiers, if you will, different levels.
And Mike, you said, I know I wasn't here for it last year, but from talking to my counterparts here, you were allowed to give a percentage from, you know, A to Z, and there were certain criteria in there. You have something where that explains the criteria that you used and how you came? Because I see, if I'm reading this correct, somebody got 1%, and then a bunch of people got 2.25%.
Right, so it breaks down
So
roughly 9 at the top level at 2 1/4, 6 at 2, and then 2 at 1 1/2, and then 1 at 1. Yeah, and I went through a process to you know, communicate with the department heads and talk about the process early on a year ago, how the process was going to change in the direction of the town council to move in the direction of merit-based pay versus just across the board, match what the unions get, you get, and everybody gets the same. So we went through a process of revamping the evaluation criteria and process, and explaining that there will be winners and losers in this process, that I'm not just going to be going through and handing out and repeating the process of saying, okay, the union got 2.25%, or 2% or 2.5%, here you go. And so we went through, objective and goals and objectives and so forth, and identified a process by which there would be a low end, high end, and middle, or sort of a stepping process, if you will.
Okay, so I just have a question. So on the very first person, or, the salary there has a 1% increase, but the increase is way off, because 1% of $69,151 would be $691.51, and it shows here at $346.
Yeah, in that particular case.
So it's not a 1% increase.
Yeah, there's an interesting case there, and I don't want to get into the.
Well, I mean,
There's a timing issue. There's a timing issue there, and again,
well, see, it's
I
not.
really
That's not explained to us here, so it's
Yeah.
it looks like the numbers aren't right.
Yeah.
And my other question is, if you give I know it's just in cents, but why does everything have to be even dollars in the salary? The payroll system can't figure out if it's a 26 pay divided out. I mean, I see everyone is rounded to even dollars except the last person, that one has cents. So I don't understand. Most times when you go through and do it, it is what it is. If you end up with cents, you end up with cents in your salary. I don't understand why, because everything in the budget is not in even dollars.
Right. Yeah. That's how. We can fix that. I mean, I think it would just round.
I know it's for ease of,
of
I don't know what
right.
of what, because everything is just plugged in to the system, but when there's no explanation and the first one does not come out to what it says on there, that just leads to more questions.
That's why it has to be a little more detailed.
Yeah, so, in terms of a process you give a charge to me to do, that I'm going through there, not, trying to respect the confidentiality of performance and evaluation that we can't do publicly. So, I've gone through and done that process and tried to give you as much detail as I can with respect to how that how it played out and how it breaks down in terms of the group without getting into individuals, and presented as a group.
Okay. Yeah, I believe Mike made the motion.
I have one more question. So when you developed the merit system, Mike, do the employees understand it from the start?
I think, I'm sure everybody did. I mean, there's some here, I'm sure they can speak to it too, but went through the process and sat down, not only as a group, but as individuals. Each one to say, this is what we're doing, this is what we're embarking on, we're making a change ahead a year ago, to say, listen, it's going to be different. We're working on a, performance merit-based process, that we're, creating, and again, I still have a learning process here to go, that I've learned from in this process, that I want to evolve as we go next year. And again, I'm just kind of setting the sort of the starting point to say, okay, here's the new rules, here's the new process, if you will, and sat down with them one-on-one to go through that. But they had, as a group, had their team, if you will, to meet with me to go back and forth in terms of hammering out ideas in terms of criteria, evaluation, goals, objectives, things of that nature.
So I guess what you're saying, I think what you're saying is that each employee knew what their specific targets were.
Yeah, well, in terms of I gave them a copy of the evaluation form and showed them, here are the criteria I'm going to be looking at. We discussed in terms of goals and objectives and things of that nature, and unequivocally said to each and every one, you may or may not be happy. There are going to be winners and losers in this group, however you want to perceive it, as it will not be across the board. So
Right, but they knew.
They knew that.
They knew that I need to achieve these targets in order to maximize my,
Yeah.
right?
And, yeah, yeah.
Okay, that's all I'm asking.
Yeah, they each all got a copy of the new revised formula.
They knew that this year, or they knew that last year?
They knew that last year.
Right, right.
Came up with that.
That's what I was asking. You need it in the beginning. They understood it in the beginning.
We did a sit down in the beginning, right, so, yeah.
So Mike, the person on the top of the list there at 69,151, that got the 1%, basically performed the least out of everybody? That's why they got the 1%? They didn't meet their requirements as well as everybody else did?
Right. Yeah, and I've got a lot more to do with this process going forward, but in terms of this first year out of the gate, I think again, change is a difficult thing, and, not everybody, agrees, but, we're trying to, move in the direction of like Tom, like you said to me before, the metrics and the measurements, so that's my goal, to try and evolve to get there, and it's, again, I can't get into the specifics, obviously, but we're talking about evaluation, so we're as a group, here it is as a group, you've given me that task to you wanted a change, we implemented the change, and here are the results, here are the impact, staying within, somewhere between 0 and 2 1/4, and that's what I've done.
I'm gonna put you on the spot for a second, just because I'm curious. Are you on here? I'm not asking which one, but are you on here?
No.
Okay.
Okay, I have the motion. It's been seconded. Did you get all that, Michelle?
I did.
Okay, we need any more discussion? No. All right, we need a vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain?
Okay, next is review of department budgets, fiscal year end.
So first of all, Mike, I don't know if we're missing a page out of this, because on the first page of this, it ends with Public Works. It just has the department with no numbers. And then the next page that we have starts off with property and liability insurance. So it ends with account 4302, and then we pick up with 4705. And I don't see Park and Rec, I don't see library. I know there has to be, and I know Park and Rec had $125,000.
Yeah, then if you're saying it skipped because it goes from 430, last is Department 4305 Public Works, and it picks up on the next page. So there should be 3 pages.
Yeah, I only have 2 in my
I only
packet.
have 2 in mine.
Right, okay. So we don't have it all.
Is there somebody that looks over this before it goes out?
Yeah, and it gets fed through
But has somebody looked through the final draft?
yep. I do that with Gina when we put it through.
And with, as a hard copy, I have 3 pages,
Yeah, it's a hard copy, okay, yeah,
so I don't know.
we have to,
Can we make copies of it?
yeah, we can, yeah.
I just need this, we need, I guess, the second
Page
page.
three.
I'd like to see all 3 if possible.
I'd like to get through it too.
It's hard to look on a computer rolling it
Is
back
there a
and forth.
security code or, do
No,
you want me to just go do it?
yeah,
I'll take those ones. Where, in your office?
yeah, yeah, right outside purchasing.
Why don't we take a 5-minute break while Michelle gets that done?
Sounds good.
Who's the deputy chief of support services? Because that's what I'm wondering, because that's what I'm wondering, is who the deputy chief of support services? Because it just seems confusing.
I like my social distance.
Walter, we should call Mike to
Right. Right. Oh, yeah, 'cause he stacked the roll. Well, no, they wouldn't. I think we need to look at that.
Okay, but we should start the process.
Yes.
All right. Thanks. I don't know what action is gonna,
Usually we start.
this is just for our information.
Right.
We usually evaluate the town manager.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So can I move and ask that we start the process?
Sure, if you want, yeah.
And then do that tomorrow.
All right, okay. When do you want to do that, Marie?
Well, we're behind schedule already.
So, that act approved, Warren, have to add that to the agenda?
You can,
We can do an executive session? No, we can't.
no.
Add it as a,
You-
under new
Just say,
business?
just say it under citizen statements and
Okay,
petitions.
yeah.
Yeah, just rather than, because it's just to start it. It's,
Okay. Almost 74, almost. Okay.
All right, start us back up here. Sorry.
Let's get back to the meeting. Where was I here?
We're under 12B.
Okay. Review of department budgets, fiscal year end.
So I had one question. I emailed you to put this, to make sure that this was on the agenda for tonight. It appears with the police department that they're, at least for the past couple of years, they're consistently over budgeted for their pensions. And it's becoming an issue. I was hoping Anthony would be here tonight, but do we know why that is? I mean, when you're talking about head count and pensions, that should be a pretty static number for the most part. Why is it over budget? I mean, it's, the number I thought was about 113,000. Now this says about 149 total for the department. This fiscal year, they're estimating it's going to be about $170,000. Why is that being done, Mike?
I don't have an answer for you. I could speculate, but I don't want to do that. I'd rather have Anthony answer to that and speak to the detail. Could be any number of factors.
Well, I know it's been brought up before, so
I addressed that last year because we had the same problem last year. And the excuse was because it was some people were in the 57 plan and some people were in the 401 plan. They did it at the higher plan, at the higher rate. And I said, that's uncalled for. We're overtaxing the citizens $113,000 this year because somebody was too lazy to break it down. And I hate to say too lazy, but that's the only thing that could happen if it's happening again this year.
yeah, and it's not accurate budgeting. And the thing that I have a real problem with is, you know, we squeeze these departments every year during budget season. We asked the chief to go back and look for we gave him 24 hours to come back to us with $10,000 worth of savings. And then the budget comes $149,000 over because pensions were not figured correctly. If I was the chief, I'd be really pissed right now.
He is a little upset.
That we're giving him a hard time for 10 grand, and meanwhile the pensions are being over budgeted for 150.
I guess though, a broader question is, all the departments, Mike, do we know why there's an underspend or an overspend? Do we know that by department?
You know, why?
Yeah.
Not for all of them. I mean, for some of the larger ones, like Fran and you know, Public Works can tell you that, you know, it's just different year with respect to storm or not having storms makes a big difference in terms of how.
Yeah, I'm not, if you don't have an explanation for each department, then, you know, I understand, but, that's the information you need. I mean, you should be meeting with your department heads and reviewing periodically throughout the year, and then by all means, at the end of the year, you know, why there's an underspend or an overspend. We shouldn't be guessing, and we shouldn't be speculating. I mean, you know, math is one of the few, if not the only absolute we have in life, right? 2 + 2 is 4.
Right.
It's not 5, it's not, you know, not 3. So we should know those. I mean, that's vital information, because just as Mike mentions, you know, we may be overtaxing the public for, I mean, you accumulate, you know, you add all these numbers up, it's pretty significant. And there may be a valid reason, but
Yeah,
we don't know it.
Right.
We're guessing.
My guess is, yeah, and again, I think it's a reflect, as you all are aware, the top line, really, in terms of the personnel and wages, really drive most of, if not every budget, right? So with the exception of, a few of the smaller accounts, and again, back to the analogy with Public Works, if there are no storms and no overtime, then, you're gonna drastically reduce that. And COVID also, I'm sure played into, the last quarter as well, in terms of what our costs are. So, we'll have to dive in there, to get the detail there. But you're right, I mean, it should, if the pension issue, if there's something amiss there, then we've gotta correct that for sure.
The other thing I would, we talked about it before, and I'm actually quite surprised that it's not happening, and I think it should definitely happen, is that there's no quarterly reviews with the departments to let them know financially where they are to budget currently. Currently, you guys meet how often to look at the budget and where you are to budget throughout the year?
No, it's mainly there's monitoring the budget, on a month-to-month basis.
Who does that?
The department head are doing that, and then.
But how does that department head know that they're on board with town hall? How do they know the numbers match?
All they gotta do is look, and if they have a discrepancy or they have a question of clarification, just they call into finance and say, hey, this is what I'm looking at, and more larger departments than Fran, I can't speak for Fran, but I understand that, they're looking all the time throughout their budget.
But you as an executive, are you talking to them on a regular basis and saying, hey, look, you're this much over budget, you're this much under budget? Because this is the problem I've seen since I've been here, and I know it's only been a short period of time. Every time a presentation's made, everything's unremarkable. And then the end of the year, this stuff comes out and jumps out at us where we're $1 million or whatever over budget, and everybody's getting blindsided with it. Why was it unremarkable all year long, and now we get hit with it? Why wasn't this reported all along? I'm just trying to understand. I don't understand it.
I got you. Yeah, and we're,
Ron,
not that
not
level.
to change it, but it's $3,019,000.
Yeah, but 2.2,
Over budget.
yeah, but 2.2 of
Yeah,
that's
but-
for
Oh,
that.
it's, the way it sits now, it's over
Right.
budget. Take off the 2%.
You understand what I'm saying, Mike? It's
Yeah,
just,
I hear you, yeah.
I don't understand how it can be unremarkable, and then, bam, the end of the year, this is
Remarkable.
quite remarkable.
Deputy Mayor, can I say something? I agree, because, and Mike and I have had this conversation, and the chief, and we cannot understand how this pension gets overfunded and nobody knows about it. It should be looked at monthly. I mean, I run 5 businesses of my own. You guys are all in business, or whoever's up here in business. It's infuriating for us, quite frankly, because as Councilman Policio says, we're scraping the bottom of our barrel for you guys as a town-wide, which is what we should be doing. When you're asking us for, money to look into our budgets, and our budget's over 113,000 pension. It's ludicrous, quite frankly. It's been happening for years. It's been happening for years, and I think Mike is probably aware of it as we've talked in the past, and I think certainly you guys at the governing body have to find out why. Because we, as the chief, can't get answers, and certainly, that's part of the reason why we're here tonight. And it goes into our next segment of this, but I agree with you, Councilman Policio. How can we be this far off in ours?
Well, if our finance department can't get it straight, you know what?
Right.
And they're gonna do a shot in the dark,
Right.
we could do a shot in the dark with less personnel in the finance department.
Right. It should be monitored monthly or quarterly.
I mean, they got enough people in there to monitor it and to look at it, and there's no excuse to overtax the public.
Right.
And this is the second year in a row I've been upset about this.
I know you were.
And it's wrong.
It's gonna happen again next year,
Oh, probably.
by more, the way it looks.
That's why I wanna see on this contingency transfer, who's sitting there.
Well, we can question Anthony at the next council meeting, have him come in and we'll see if we can get some answers from him.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll review and get the answers that you're looking for.
I think that the finance director should work with, at least, in our case, our chief and every department.
Well,
Regularly.
part of this, Mike, you're the town manager. You own the budget, right? So you need to be, you need to own this.
I agree with you. Quarterly, without a doubt, this stuff, you guys need to sit down, you need to look at this, and this needs to be done better.
Or at least meet with the major departments. And you know who the major departments are. I mean, you don't have to meet with everybody, but meet with Park and Rec, police.
Yeah, because
Meet with the
Fire,
bigger departments,
you
as
know,
you said.
Public Works.
well, there's something called servant leadership, right? And the idea of servant leadership is that your employees don't necessarily always work for you, you work for them. You're also a support for them to help them do their job better. And it doesn't appear that that's happening right now, according to these budgetary problems. I would like to see town hall support their department heads more by having better communication and being able to do this better.
Transparency, at least for our department, and as well as everyone else, taxpayers.
Okay, any other discussion?
Well, I think at the next meeting, based on this report, we need to have explanations as to what, the employee benefits. They have $90,000 in there. Like, employee benefits shouldn't be that difficult to estimate. I know there's comings and goings and whatever else, but $90,000 is a lot of money. And I'm not exactly sure what's all in employee benefits, but I'm guessing it's the insurance and things like that, type of thing. That's a lot of money to be off in employee benefits. And so I think we need to have explanations for this, for all of these accounts. Like, why are we 26,000 short on solid waste disposal? We have a contract with them.
Zoning
So-
Board of Appeals, 21,000, left in that account. Probate Court, $27,000 for social services. Anything over $10,000, we should have some type of written explanation as to why it's over.
They all matter, no matter how big or small they are. They're all
Right.
departments, so. It all adds, it's all adds
Numbers
up to
can't be
the
that
sum.
far skewed off. How do we run the town if we don't know?
Okay, so we'll talk to Anthony at the next meeting.
But we need something
Get
in
your answer.
writing too. Otherwise, that'll be tabled again.
So Mike,
What?
between now and the next meeting, when is the next meeting?
September.
September 1st.
Can you have something?
Yeah, we'll, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we gotta get it done. Gotta dive in and get you the answers you're looking for, and,
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Any more? All right, we'll move into new business, discussion and action. The first is request to use 2019-2020 unspent funds from police and communication budgets.
You have a statement in your packet of the items that the chief would like to purchase with the funds that were not spent in the budget, and that still would leave about a $60,000 number, even after spending that money, because of what the pension was so much over. And I think some of this attempt here is to offset this year, to offset some of the work in terms of the new facility. There's a real need for another motor vehicle, for another car. There's a need for radar. I think that it's pretty clear here what the needs are, and I think what the attempt here on the part of Commissioner O'Keefe is to offset this particular budget, because there are so many things coming up, particularly because of this new Police Accountability Act.
Okay,
So
thanks.
that kind of leads into this next phase of what we just talked about, and I'm sure the chief will reiterate some of this on
Hold on a second,
Yeah.
hold on a second. So, I mean, we saw this, but again, the budget, you know, I look at this as, again, part of the budget, it's underspent. The town manager needs to be meeting, there needs to be, good practices. The town manager should be meeting with the department heads and reviewing what the needs are. And based on the information he receives and what he's willing to support, then that information should be coming to us as a council with the backup to support it and in his recommendation. But it seems that we circumvent it quite a bit. And then sometimes we do it that way, sometimes we don't do it that way. So it can give the perception that we're not following proper procedure, proper good practices as a governing body, as a department, as a department, meaning as the town of North Branford. And that concerns me.
Okay.
policies and procedures should all be the same.
Right, it should just flow. It's not, I'm not preaching to say yes or no.
Yeah, right.
I'm preaching to say we need to follow a certain procedure no matter who it is. It should all be funneled through the town manager, department heads, discuss it with the town manager, and based on whatever information, you know, you get or ask for and you are willing to support, then it comes to us. And then you know, whatever backup documentation necessary, and ask for the funding. I mean, I think it's that simple.
So you wanna make that suggestion and come back next month?
Yeah. Yeah.
The one thing I would like to add about this, and then Chief, excuse me one second.
Can you guys have a tabletop session?
Would you like us to review it with the town manager and come back to you, or since we're here, tell you what we're trying to accomplish?
Well, I think this is where we kind of start steering off the road, and we need to follow a certain path, and it's not. I'm not trying to.
I don't know if there's ever been.
I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to promote denial or
Right.
things like. I'm trying to promote good management practices.
But you know, Tom, I think the chief followed good management practices.
I'm not saying, no, but you're misunderstanding what I'm saying.
Well,
though.
give me a chance here.
Okay.
He didn't just do this himself, he had a meeting, he had a special meeting of the police commission. He reports to the police commission.
And it was
He
a
met with
directive,
them
it was a
yesterday.
directive from the town manager to submit requests using the 1920 budget, okay? And my requests go through the Board of Police Commissioners. That's typically how we've done it in the past.
I'm just making an observation, and I'm making a comment, and I'm making, providing a thought, and, you know,
No,
I'm not saying
No, I
that,
just wanted to
that the
clear it
police
up.
chief did anything
Yeah.
inappropriate. I'm not saying that at all. But it seems that we don't always follow the same path of the process.
What is
I
it?
think he does
There's-
follow.
there's-
Well, that's the
been
good,
also-
that's the,
right.
that's the
So
million dollar
We usually always come in
question.
front of the governing body.
Right.
We usually talk to the town manager, and then we come in front of you guys. We're assuming, maybe that's, you know how to spell assume, kind of makes us all look funny here, that you guys get this information, get it in a packet, and then we
You know,
can
I look at it like this, we're elected volunteers, right? So we're trying to, in my opinion, we're trying to monitor and make sure everything's being done according to plan, according to the process, according to the rules, right? And the people being paid are the specialists and the people with the know-how.
Well, I agree, and I think
And
that's part of the.
You know,
Part of that is you guys, or certainly the finance department here needs to look closely at why there's so many issues that happen, especially on just our budget. You know, and if it's happening in ours, is it happening everywhere?
Right.
That's part of the problem, I really believe.
Attorney Marino, is there anything in writing that defines that process, whether the board should go through the town manager or whether the board should come directly before the council?
I would think from an organizational standpoint, it depends on, you know, how the town is organized. The town manager oversees all departments. You know, the police department is part of the departmental structure. And I believe at one point in history, I think it was changed, at one point in history, the police chief did report to the town manager, as all other department heads. I think that was changed at the request of the former chief because of personality conflicts with a former town manager. But, you know, from a management standpoint, again, it's not a question of legality. First, you have to go back to what does your organizational structure look like? The way that you're designed, you're a town manager form of government. So the town manager is responsible for the oversight of the day-to-day business of your town. And that should include, I would think, the various departments. The police department is slightly different in that it has a police commission, but the police commission oversees the day-to-day operation of the budget, but the police department is still a department within the town. So again, I'm not saying what's right and what's wrong, because there was an organizational way of doing things. It was changed when the former chief no longer wanted to report to the town manager. So I don't believe that's ever been changed back as a matter of formality or structure. So, but again, I think this is not a matter of laws or a legal issue, it's a matter of organizational structure.
Thank you.
And certainly to recap that is, you know, when I got on the commission many years ago, and I used to say to Mike, how does this body know, because the former way it was run, never answered to the governing body. And I would always say, and a lot of you guys have heard me say this, how do you guys know what we need? And how do we know what you need if we're not communicating? I believe we should be communicating with you guys at all aspects when it comes to dollars and cents to that PD. In the past, when I first got on, it was never that way. They never wanted to come in front of you guys, you know, and I'm not gonna, it was the way the other guy used to run things, and I never believed it. And I went toe-to-toe with him in the very early stages to say that we need to come in front of you guys. We need to have dialogue. And certainly we've done it with Mike, this town manager, the previous town managers, and we hope to believe that it comes to you guys before we walk in here, to some degree. Certainly, the policy and procedures, if needs to change and go more directly to Mike, that's up to you guys. But I always believe that it has to come to you guys and have that dialogue.
Dave, I think the organizational structure, from, if I remember right, and I have it at home, I don't have it here, you Police and Fire Commission, I think, are supposed to answer to us.
We've always come in front of you guys, because
I think other departments answer to Mike, I think. If I remember this right, I'm gonna have to check into it myself. But I know you guys have come to us in the past, and that's the way it's been done.
Well, it's been done that way for quite a while now, yeah.
Yeah, but
I certainly believe that there should be transparency. I always said when I walked in, how does everybody know what we each other need, and what are our needs for each other? That's when we get to the budgeting, and you guys are looking to strangle us more, to get more out of us, or we're looking for more needs, you know? And I think it has to be that way at certain levels.
I think
it has to be that way, certainly even above Mike, the town manager. You're the governing body.
No, we appreciate the openness of the police commission now, and fire commission, and the police chief, and the fire chief, you know.
Even the Board of Ed, we've been doing this with the Board of Ed, too.
Yeah, and it's nice to have open dialogue, you know, back and forth. But there's a few little glitches that we still gotta get, you know, worked out.
Sure.
And Tommy's right in one area, you know, you guys should go present the case to the town manager, fill him on it, so he could do some of the background information to get to the council, you know.
Right.
And, you know, that's a good avenue to do it, you know. I agree with a lot of the stuff that you guys, you know, need and put in for and stuff like that, but, you know, we have to do it in a systematic way, not just police,
Yeah, every department should be the same.
fire, you know, I mean, public works.
Yeah. You guys should have it same way across the board.
And
Certainly
that's,
maybe in the past.
that may be a policy that we'll have to develop.
I
you
think,
know,
right,
soon.
you'll have to
But,
implement a policy.
you know, I certainly don't wanna see the timetable on this money go away without us, you know, addressing it.
Yeah, I mean,
So I'm not sure what our timetable is, you know, Michael should know, and,
not that I don't like looking at all you guys, but I didn't wanna sit here for 2 hours for nothing, so.
The one thing I was gonna say earlier too, and just kinda caution everybody with, I know you guys are requesting some stuff, and I know there's definite needs there, but with this new police accountability law, we don't know how that's gonna affect us as far as the cost for trainings and cost for potential insurance for our officers, liability insurance. So I just wanted to bring that up, and I just think that before we go out and spend a bunch of that money, that we should be conservative with it and maybe try to get some rough estimates as to what those expenses down the road are gonna look like for the town.
I think the chief can answer a lot of that, and maybe not answer a lot of it, because we don't have a lot of answers on it. I think it's gonna be a long-term.
Yeah, so a lot of the changes are gonna be phased in over time. There are gonna be expenses, you're right. Police liability, insurance, professional liability insurance, CALIA, I don't have the list in front of me. There's gonna be added training.
We've got a couple of pages of things that are gonna come down the pike.
Yeah, I don't know how much time you have, but, mandatory drug testing, behavioral health assessments on officers. Again, certain training areas.
I don't know if we need to
I
bother
don't
you
know
with
what
going through everything, but
Yeah.
I'm just thinking dollars and cents. If maybe the next meeting or something, we could just have a general, if it's even possible, I don't know. but-
I don't even know if it's possible, because I don't even know what half of the bill means, to be quite honest with you. It's so ambiguous, some of it, that who knows. There's the issue with, qualified immunity, which opens up Pandora's box, as far as the town is concerned. And it doesn't only impact police, it impacts all government employees. So, public works, town hall. It's gonna open up the town to a lot of frivolous lawsuits. I can't even begin to start what it's gonna start costing the town. We're a little bit ahead of the curve on some of the things, such as body worn cameras, dash cameras, those types of things. The reason why I don't really wanna give you a full explanation to this is because from my understanding, the state legislature knows that there's areas that need to be fixed, and I think they plan on going back and fixing some of them, not all of them. There's 44 sections to the new bill, and it's just a lot to consume right now, just a lot to consume. So, I mean, I could put together something for you for a future meeting, but we still have to see how this is gonna play out. Do you agree? Yes. So, I don't know what the bottom line is gonna cost us.
Fair enough.
Okay, what would we like to do with this?
We already discussed it. We're gonna get a written explanation as to, you know.
You wanna table it?
Yeah.
Okay, I need a motion.
I make a motion to table it.
So, Mayor, do you want us to, like, go back to you with town manager, bring it back?
Yeah, we gotta set up some type of, procedure to, handle all these, but, yeah, we'll, it'll be on our next meeting agenda. And hopefully, all parties will work together.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, thank you guys. All right, motion was made by Counselor Duty. Anybody second it?
Second.
Second by Counselor, Deputy Mayor Zampiano. Any further discussion? Can I have a vote, Michelle?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you. Next we have the steep grant application.
Yeah, this is an opportunity the state, I mentioned at the last meeting, and put together an application feeling that we should seek funding for the police department facility construction. So I've put that together. It's not the complete, if anybody wanted to see the all of the inserts, maps and things like that nature, but I think you all know where the building is going. And what we're after there, as I said before, it's not as much as they used to offer with respect to steep funding, in terms of, $250,000 to $500,000. The cap is $128,205. So requested that in this app, basically to try to offset some of the construction site work that's tagged at about $355,000 through the initial preliminary design estimates that they have. So I have a prepared, certainly answer any questions you have, but have a prepared resolution that I think will help enhance and support the application when I submit that. They also extended the deadline, I think, by a week. It was to be the 14th, and now I think they've extended that to the end of the month, 28th, I believe.
Mike, what's the 355?
355 is what Silver Petroselli has anticipated as the site work in their analysis.
And the grant match is 128,205.
So it's really just a down payment. I don't
Right.
know there's anything to dwell on, we're gonna just approve it.
Yep. Just want to make sure.
I'd like to make a motion, be it hereby resolved that Town Council supports a request for funding to build a new facility for the North Brantford Police Department, and hereby authorizes the town manager, Michael T. Paulus, to submit a steep application to the state of Connecticut.
Second.
Okay. A motion was made by Counselor Angeloni, seconded by Counselor Diamond. Any further discussion? Have a vote, Michelle.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next is appropriation transfers.
That is also, it should, 2 pages in your packet.
Okay, I just have some questions on here. So, given the fact of all the money that's left in the various departments on there, one of these transfers that really sticks out to me is taking from our social services department, which is a department that, they had money left over in their account, but to take it out to pay for insurance, I'm not so sure that, who makes the decision as to what accounts they're coming from? Their budget isn't that large to begin with, and it serves a very vulnerable section of our population in town. And to take that kind of money from them where we could use it for something else rather than from another department bothers me. And the other thing is, and part of it is also going to equipment maintenance for the generator at NBIS. Like, why isn't that budgeted to begin with? Because we're taking from two different departments. It's over $7,000. Did the generator fail? I mean, what was the issue with the generator? I just.
Yeah, there were continuing issues with the generator. I think we spent money on trying to fix that or make sure that the switch would go over. And as we found out in this storm, I don't have the detail from Bill Chody. I'm not sure he has the detail, but something failed within that process in this last storm. That's why we lost internet and voice over IP on the phones. The generator didn't turn on, so the battery supply pack for the computer system turned on, the interruptible power supply batteries, and those are only really meant to last a short time, and so those batteries were triggered and went on, but the generator never went on, and so those batteries were depleted, and so we lost internet and phone. As to the level of detail, I haven't had the report come back yet on that.
So whose responsibility is it to service the generator at NBIS? Is it the town's because it's like an emergency management? I mean, it's like our shelter place, or is it the Board of Education because it's in the school?
I think it's under our emergency management in terms of the service needed for that, but I think that it's handed to, because it's on site at school, to Bill Chody to do that. And again, that's the level of detail I don't have with respect to that particular generator. But I know that there've been some problems with it in the past. I thought we had fixed that, and apparently not, because that's what we ran into the last storm.
Mike, do we have a maintenance contract on that?
I think there is. I want to say there is, but I don't know if Fran has any information on that.
I'm not sure. I know Bill handles that. I thought they did have one, but I'm not sure.
And if they have a maintenance contract that's serviced every year.
Right.
So.
And the other thing is, I don't think we can do anything with this tonight because in here is all of the police department requests that we just tabled. The $63,000 for the automotive, the $24,000 for the radar units. So that's all part of this, and since we just tabled it, I don't think we can take action on this appropriation transfers. Like, do these have to be done by a certain time? Because this is all for
This is all 1920, yeah. I think we can do that by September 1st. I think and if I'm not mistaken, I think in the past we've gone as far as September. It might make sense to.
Well, we have to table it because we just tabled the police thing. We don't have a choice. It's part of this. So I'm going to make a motion to table the appropriation transfers.
I'll second it.
Who's that, Mike?
Walt.
Walt. Okay, the motion was made by Councilor Angeloni, seconded by Councilor Gold. Any further discussion? Do we have a vote, Michelle?
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, next is lease purchase, 2020, 2021.
Right, this is the, for the school system Board of Education, for their system, and I know that the, I believe the town attorney has reviewed the purchase agreement, I believe.
That's correct.
I make a motion that we approve the suggested motion as written on pages, I think it must be 69 and 70.
I'll second it.
So what's, the 70,000 is for,
Technology. They've been doing this for years.
oh, it's not the finance software?
No, 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 no,
Okay,
it's,
okay, I
it's,
thought it was.
no, it's
Okay,
their
all right.
technology. So
Okay.
it's 70,000 a year for 4 years.
Yep.
I think this started, I don't know, 12, 13, 14 years ago.
And the 225 is for a new ambulance?
So they're purchasing an ambulance via a lease. So it's not, so they're leasing an ambulance, a new ambulance. So how many ambulances does that make for us? 4 then? Are we getting rid of one? I thought we had 3 already.
I had a discussion with the chief, and he made it, I don't wanna speak for him, but he made it sound like, one of them was needed to be replaced. So.
But are we
again,
getting rid of it is the question? Because this seems to be the issue
No, I
that we
understand.
buy vehicles but never get rid of
Well,
what
that
we're
was-
replacing, and then we end up with all these vehicles.
Well, that was my next question, is if it's replacing one, should it be in the, in this, motion? Should it be like, you know, releasing this, a new ambulance to replace XYZ ambulance? To make it official?
Is my memory correct that he acquired a used ambulance as a reserve in the event one of the frontline ambulances broke down? I'm thinking that about a year ago or so, we got that information from him.
I don't remember, Joe. You could be right.
But I know there's one ambulance that they,
The
Right,
the
there's
lemon
been-
ambulance that we've had.
That was a new one, and it came in as a dog.
right, I'm wondering, is that the one we're replacing?
I hope so.
Yeah.
Is this anything on Zoom, Michael? Is fire chief on the line, or?
No, we
There's no-
didn't set up, no.
I thought they finally figured out the problem with that one, though, and fixed it.
They did.
Oh, that's right, that's the one Eddie,
Eddie found it,
Eddie
and, yeah.
found it one time. I don't know, I just thought that if it's replacing a unit, maybe it should be listed so that it's like official, so we're gonna put one on the book, take one off the book.
Well, we should get that information and justification as to why we're buying a new ambulance, which we don't seem to get.
So are we leasing it or buying it?
We're leasing it, I guess.
I think it's the value's $225, but it's a lease, right?
We lease it,
4-year
I think
lease.
we own it at the end of the lease. for
Yeah, lease
$1.
to buy.
Leasing it to buy?
Lease purchase.
Said a 4-year advance funding, interest rate of 1.30.
Or do we need an additional one? I mean, that's the question.
Well, I don't know why these people
But-
aren't here tonight.
Well, according to the lease option breakdown, there's one of the leasing companies that we have to pay outright at the end, $53,000 to buy the ambulance, so that wouldn't be a lease to buy at the end. And is that only for that leasing company?
That's
I mean,
the one
it-
that's asterisk.
Right, I mean, that's what the way it seems. So on the other 3 companies, do we own the ambulance at the end of it, of the lease payments? With no purchase?
Sounds like another good reason to table it.
Yeah, it seems we have questions, and there's no one here to answer, nobody from the fire service, so, or the ambulance service. So, I can't make a motion, it's up to you guys.
I'll make a motion to table it till our next meeting.
All right.
Second.
Hopefully we can get answers.
Well.
Be nice if
so then
somebody
Mike,
was here.
I have a question then. Mike, when something like this comes up on the agenda, should someone from either the fire commission or the fire chief be here, or in any department?
Yeah.
Do they know that?
Well, they typically attend, and I did not personally invite the chief, but I should have, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, with the way, with the pandemic, I mean, I guess, you know, we have to make sure we're aware of that, because he's probably
Right.
thought he, you know, I'm just gonna assume he probably needed to be invited.
Wait, you have to invite them, or they can't
No, I
just
don't,
call you?
I
and
don't
say-
have to invite him, but
necessarily that, but
you
it-
should
I
just
think it's just a
ensure that he'd be
mindset
here
right
and typically most department heads are here to do that. But I did, in this case, did not invite the chief or recommend or talk with the chief to say, hey, I think he should be here tonight. I'm sure he, you know, if it's scheduled, and he's been to plenty of meetings, you know, he does come and certainly would come if requested. So I just not get to him to talk to him about that.
And the guy that always comes, Fran Marola, we always ask questions, you know, he always has an answer. That's why
Fran,
he's
can you
always,
answer this
that's why
one?
he's, that's why he's always here.
No, yeah.
I'm looking back in minutes.
But thank you, Fran, for your attendance.
You're welcome.
Okay, so the lease purchase,
Well, can't I just withdraw the motion and rather than table it?
I think so, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, but we still
Yeah.
have to table then,
Okay.
yeah, we'll go with Mike's
because
motion.
that motion was on the floor, which opened up discussion, so,
You have to withdraw it, I believe, right?
well,
No, just table it, that's all we did.
All right,
There's no need to withdraw, you could just simply move the table, and then I'll take the motion and table it.
okay, great.
okay.
Thanks.
It was made by Counselor Duty, seconded by Counselor Policia. Any further discussion? Can I have a vote, Michelle?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next is contingency transfer, 2019, 2020.
So this goes back to my other question from before, why are we over 26,000 on our refuse contract?
Well, yeah, and what's driving this one is the, couple of things, the rebates we have for our condominiums, was under budgeted, was off, in terms by about 11,000 with respect to the budget over actual. And the bulky waste pickup in which we take to Mira under the new agreement is also driving that up with the two pickups that we have, you know, mattresses and so forth. So between those two items, that's what we've got just under.
Where was the mistake made by the condominium association reimbursement?
I don't have that level of detail other than to know that.
The decision is made by the town, and the condominium association is told how much they're getting.
So who on,
But, so how could we be under budget by $11,000?
who on the town made that mistake?
It's not the condominium association gets whatever dollar amount the town decides, the condominium association does not ask for the money.
Right.
It's totally a decision of the town.
So my
It's don't
question,
take
Formula.
my question is, who on the
Formula we did.
town made that calculation?
Our finance department.
If the finance department makes that decision.
Not the finance department mistake. I just love this finance department.
This is your condo complex.
Can you sense a little, you know, something from Marie there, from her condo association? It's not me.
I'm starting to lose my patience and tolerance for these mistakes constantly.
Okay, so I guess we have no option, but I will,
Something we're not tabling?
no. I'll move the contingency appropriation for solid waste disposal, other contractual for $26,250 to come out of contingency.
I'll second that one.
Okay, motion was made by Counselor Angeloni, second by Counselor Diamond. Any further discussion? Have a vote, Michelle?
All in favor?
All right, next is approval of tax refunds.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we don't need to vote on that, do we?
Yes, you do.
Yes, you do.
Okay, by Counselor Angeloni, Rose, you made the,
Yep,
and
Second.
Marie.
made by Counselor, seconded by Counselor Diamond. Any further discussion? We have a vote, please.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next is citizen statements and petitions.
Mr. Mayor, I do not have any emails.
Mr. Mayor, I do have a statement. Usually we evaluate the town manager in August, and we are kind of behind the times. I'd like to make a suggestion that the town council members get a copy of the form, because I think some people had a problem with that last year. Have an opportunity to look at it, so we can maybe discuss the form in September, and give the town manager an opportunity to do a self-evaluation, and then perhaps we would then do our evaluation in October.
He usually submits his goals and
Pardon?
objectives. He usually submits his goals and objectives,
Correct.
prior
But
to
I
that.
think some people last year had a problem with the form, so maybe if we could get a copy of the form sent to us before the first September meeting, so people can maybe make some suggestions for change, or like it the way it is. And then, in the meantime, the town manager can work on his goals and objectives.
Okay, Mike, can you get that to us?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Okay, thanks, Marie. All right, let's, no statements, right, Mike?
None.
No.
Okay, let's go into executive session.
Make a motion to go to executive session.
Second.
You gotta include people, Marie.
Oh, to include.
To vote to include.
Town manager and town attorney.
Yeah.
I think.
Okay. Who made the motion?